someone was explaining a concept to me that I couldn't wrap my head around, but it made sense to me once I started intellectualizing it a bit more. So he was saying that thousands of years ago, if you didn't fit into society, you were kicked out the tribe, right? And eventually you wouldn't have made it too long in the wild. No tribe, no resources, no guidance, no survival. And he was saying that because of this being in our evolutionary nature, as humans, we tend to constantly scan the environment and seek social acceptance because most people can't survive or operate without some sort of social dependence. So I was like, I mean, that seems like an interesting perspective, but I have some thoughts on this, right? In my opinion, I believe humans have sort of two forms of consciousness. The first form is our rational and complex understanding of what we truly believe and value and understand, of course. Again, this is our rationale. This is the first form of our consciousness, or that voice in our head. The second form is the social noise of your consciousness. This form is constantly scanning the environment and making judgment, which isn't a bad thing because you need to observe your environment and you need to judge things you see or overall sense because you need to detect what danger or make decisions based on circumstances that life is putting in front of you. Sometimes the second form and the first form work together. You see a circumstance, then you make it rational, right? This goes back to the concept that guy was saying, where I feel like people have different levels of social noise tolerance. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but their consciousness is constantly flooded with noise where they question their social acceptance. Do people like me? Am I normal? Is this safe? What will people think if I did this? What will people think if I said that? What will someone think? It doesn't have to be people. What will this one individual person think if I said this or I did that? And this isn't wrong to think that way because oftentimes if you think about how others feel, it comes from a place of empathy and understanding. If you never ask yourself internally about how what you say or do will affect others, that's genuinely concerning, right? This goes back to the tribe concept. If you decide to be disruptive or not be considerate or blatantly ignore your environment and only care about yourself and your own resources, you get kicked out of the tribe. Nobody's going to keep you in the tribe if all your acts are selfish and without social consideration or thought. This is how deception occurs. This is how treachery occurs. This is how other destructive patterns occur. Same could be said about society, though. If all your acts are selfish and without consideration or social noise, that's how people end up doing heartless things to other people, which may cause them to end up imprisoned, isolated, or removed from most to all social circles in society. But people will blame society for that, for removing them from social circles, which, that goes down another rabbit hole of, it's antisocial behavior, which is why emotional blunting or emotional detachment tends to be associated with those who have little to no care or remorse or empathy towards other people. But I also feel like this isn't a direct correlation with extreme detachment because some of this is learned behavior as you grow. When you get older, sometimes you stop caring more and more about how people perceive you. You stop hesitating because of social acceptance, right? If you tripped and fell down in public, hey man, you slipped on some ice. It was just snowing the other day here in New York. Let's say you slipped and fell on some ice, right? And you rolled down the block because that's how slippery it was, okay? I wouldn't say you, but if you fell and tripped down, you wouldn't ball up in shame. Your rationale, the first form of consciousness I mentioned, will instead register why you tripped and fell down in public. But the social noise part, some people instead will be wondering, oh my God, look how embarrassing this is. What if someone recorded me and now I'm going to end up on a fails compilation on YouTube or someone's Instagram story? They see me rolling down the hill or the block because I slipped on some ice. But see, that's what I'm saying. There's like, why did I fall and trip? What could I have done instead versus, oh, wow, I fell and slipped. I'm more worried about what's going to happen. Am I going to be recorded? Am I going to go viral? And you see, like, one is more about social. The other one's about, okay, let's rationally explain this. But look, this is what I'm saying. This is what I meant before about emotional detachment and blunting. That person who doesn't care about what others think and is just in locked in mode where, like regardless of their failures, they're more rational about it. That isn't necessarily someone who is emotionally blunted or attached, I'm sort of digressing. This video isn't about emotional detachment. This segment seems to be, though. Point is, I think people have different levels of social noise, and I think different levels are appropriate for different people. For example, I find a lot of celebrities or social media figures have very low social noise, especially if they've been famous for a long period of time. And that's simply because they're used to people saying stuff that is distracting or is designed to make them feel insecure or feel lesser, where they end up getting numb to it. So criticism or feedback doesn't hurt them anymore. This is what happens, you know what I'm saying? Which can be a good or bad thing, because sometimes it can make someone completely tone deaf. If you listen, if you're a celebrity, right, or you're famous or whatever, and you listen to what everyone says about you, like you literally take it to heart, and like that's that social noise, or you care about what everyone is critiquing you for, you become less stable because you're more focused on someone else's truth versus your truth and what you believe. It's a balance thing, right? And it has to be balanced based on your lifestyle. Certain industries, let's not talk about celebrities because not everyone's going to be a celebrity, right? But like certain industries, I feel like social noise needs to be very low, but other ones, it should be very high. Or maybe it should just be more lenient towards one another. People who have zero social noise, they either come off as a tyrant or they're just completely disconnected. And honestly, I haven't really met anybody or even on the internet whose social noise is completely zero. Maybe like one person, but I wouldn't say, if I were to give it, like their social noise is like 10%. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like they just completely don't care about anything socially, but it's very, very, very low. I only know like one person who's like that. Look, me personally, as I've gotten older, my social noise goes through chaotic moments. Like when I'm feeling insecure, my social noise is high. Like I start caring about, oh my God, what if I do this? What will people say if I did this? What if people's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have moments where that happens to me. Social noise is high. But when I'm confident in what I'm doing or what I believe, my social noise can be very low. But I've never had a zero social noise like period in my life. Yet I've had numerous maximum social noise periods in my life. So I mean, what do you guys think? How important is social noise? Do you feel like in terms of just living in society? How do you feel about the tribe concept? Because it is directly correlated, and I get it. Because again, no social noise or low social noise, you will get isolated from society. Simply put, or you can get in prison too. You know what I'm saying? Or again, most social circles won't accept you if you have low social noise, because you have to be considerate of other people around you. You have to be considerate about social stuff. But some people, they're not into it. Again, this goes back to the antisocial behavior and that whole yap I had. Let me know down below. This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. I'm out.